biggest bunch of liars on earth.
Yeah.
And that's it. And it's because there's no forgiveness and love in the church. That's why.
Mm-hmm. So it's really it's partly lying to yourself, but then largely lying about yourself. Like
I would love to go to a lawyer's office who just middle of the day just pours a bourbon on ice and just says, I just like to drink, I'd be like, I can trust that guy. You would have that. You wouldn't think he's hiding from you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you'd be like, okay, I can, or like I play with pastors or all these super tight Christians. I'll get a giant cigar. Mm-hmm. They're like, but then they love that stuff. Then they're like, I go on guys trips. I have a cigar too. And I'm like, I knew you did.
Yeah.
You're going to look at me for having a cigar. But
yep.
You know what? Every one of them wants to hang out with me. They all want to hang out. And they're like, you know why? Because they let their hair, they don't have to be fake.
Yep.
And they're like, God, I don't have anybody. What? Dan Cathy wants to hang with me because everyone around him's like, hold him to some high standard and do this or that. And Dan holds himself to high standard. I'm not in any way alluding.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying they're so fake around him.
Well, it's just the feeling that you have to be on. If you're only surrounded by people that make you feel like you have to be on all the time.
Yeah.
It's like trying to flex a muscle without stopping. It's exhausting.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's that. So it's just, some part of it is therapeutic, just talking about this stuff, but it's, I don't know how it changes because it takes the people to want to have a change, but I ended up meeting, I've had just crazy conversations with people who, there are people who have more knowledge of other people, like, but it's like the pornography or the whatever, the adult entertainment places. You drive by them at 10 o'clock at night and every parking spot is full, you know, and it's not, and I would bet 80% of guys there are family people, mm-hmm. They're not, it's not that many bachelor parties on Tuesday night in Greenville, South Carolina, mm-hmm. They're, so, and it's so funny about the South, it is full of strip clubs. Everywhere.
Yeah.
And you go to California, they're not there. They're just not. It's funny. They're not, San Francisco, all of San Francisco has like, how many millions of people? That's a pretty deviant city. There are 2 strip clubs. You go to Atlanta and I bet I don't know how many. It's more than that,
right.
But the South I had a pastor point that out to me. The South is known for that. And the number one country in the world for human trafficking is America. And a group that I was with the other day said the human trafficking is a $150 billion a year business. 100 billion is done in the United States. And the number one city in America is Atlanta, Georgia for human trafficking. And it's not going to stop because the leaders and the people in power are supported by traffickers. Just like that guy, the guy they have the thing on Netflix about, who was, died in this prison cell. They said he hung himself, but Epstein. Who knows? It was Epstein.
Yeah.
He was powerful and he was impacting hundreds of girls and he was interacting with the highest power levels in the world. Mm-hmm. And he did not go out of his way for that to be unknown. Right. It was known about him widely.
Yeah. I've listened and read about that a good bit. And that's one of the big shocking things is that it was, that's just who he was. And he would have strangers to his house seeing these portraits of naked girls. And so it was wide open. And how does that happen?
Right.
And it's power.
It's power. And it's so, and that's it. And I think this, and it was so interesting. I was talking to folks about trafficking and trying to bring awareness to that. And Tim Tebow's a big deal with that when I was at his house last week. But just talking about that with him and Demi, and she was personally jacked 3 years ago. Somebody pulled her in her car in South Africa. She was already crowned Miss South Africa, and turned to a trafficker. And she was able to escape and get out of the car, but it became a very personal story for her. She's like choked up talking about it. But you're like, wow, you're an amazingly beautiful woman, and you were in broad daylight in South Africa,